I'm Brandon.
And I'm Brandon.
And welcome back to Apollo City Comics, the unscripted comic book commentary show with me and Brandon. With Brandon and I.
Hi, everybody. Notice how less chaotic it is because we've just been doing so many movie commentaries with like 6 people.
Yeah, we haven't sat down and talked about a book in a while. We've done so much Snyder. And there's episodes, you guys, that aren't even released yet. They're just backlogged because we can't have Frank edit all that audio. Poor soul.
Not just that, every movie is like 2.5 hours long, and we've watched like one each week the past like month and a half. And
granted, guys, our audio guy Frank, he does not like superheroes at all. Like that's just like the bottom line. Like that's not even just superhero movies. He knows so much more information than he wants to know. But let's give him a little round of applause. Frank, maybe insert some audio clapping right here, some cheers. Maybe some explosions, some hurrahs,
something. A nice, it'd be good. Some nice like cheers from like a wrestling crowd. I don't know.
Oh yeah, that'd be a good one actually.
Yeah, there you go, Frank.
You wanted the intro of a Kiss concert. That's what we got to get. Hottest sound editor in the world.
It just becomes like a WWE like podcast, and then comes in the Texas Rattlesnake. Oh, you see right here. I got it right here. I'm Stone Cold Steve Austin.
What do we Frank's awesome, guys. That's our point.
Yeah, he's amazing.
What are we so much has changed.
Yeah, a lot has changed actually.
Yes, we've been busy. We've been in and out this year because we just have a lot going on in life, but we're doing so much cool stuff with the channel right now. Brandon, what do we have that we own now?
We got a YouTube channel, baby. And that's where Frank puts in like the horns and everything.
Yeah, we have our own YouTube channel. Our friends that we're with, Dave and Frank and Breens, they're focusing more on just promoting their show. So we split off and did ours because we never imagined any of these shows growing the way they did. They have so much cool content. Make sure you stay subscribed and check out all their stuff. And for us, we have so much stuff now. We're doing another show that's coming out this week, actually, Backlog Breakout, where we give what is it? What do we do?
We basically, what is it? Who am I? What am I doing again? Who are you people? We just basically kind of go through our short and long boxes and choose out a random issue, any issue in any random comic collection we got. And it's kind of like a single vote between you and I. You pick a few books, you show them to me, I choose one to talk about, I pick a few, you choose, and then we take turns.
Stuff like this, guys. Actually, this is one of them that we turned down. Daredevil, Berserker. Well, this is just new books I got in, but that's all I had next to me to show.
Yeah, I know. I got comics. Oh, that's a pretty awesome cover. I got comics for the first time in like almost a month yesterday because I just haven't gone. And I was like, actually, no, not a month. Sorry, like a week because I had a week where only like one book came out.
Me too. That was me this coming week, actually. I have like one.
Yeah. Sorry, not a month. It felt like a month because I read the book so fast. And I was like, I guess comics. Yeah. I was like,
but I actually, when you listen to the first episode, it's really us giving us a quick overview on issues I haven't read in my collection and some of Brandon's random issues. We basically just did a long box roulette. We just pick a few and then we cover them for you guys. They're short, 10-15 minute episodes, really in depth, full of information, a lot of indie stuff. Really trying to get you more indie this year because we've done so much damn DC and some Marvel, and we're just really trying to break back out there and give you guys the variety that comic books are. You know what I mean? Like, stuff. Plus, I need to read what I own. Like, it's really encouraging for me.
Yeah, I got really shamed by Brandon for reading almost my entire collection, and
someone has a lot of time with it. No, I'm kidding.
Excuse me. You called me out because I have not read my Elektra run or my Gotham Central. So those are some of my sins I have to,
Which Elektra run?
It's the Bendis one.
Oh, wow.
Back when it was like Marvel Knights or something.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah, because, loving...
Issues.
Huh?
It's like 5 issues.
No, it's longer because someone started it or Bendis started it and then it went into another writer, something like that. Yeah. So Daredevil being one of my favorites, I try to keep up with everything related to the character, and the only character that gets like books is Elektra.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the first episode, I believe, is going to be Feeders by Mike Allred, which is a bizarre, insane book. It's definitely something worth checking out if you just want a crazy history lesson that tripped both Brandon and I out. Talk about bizarre. But that's coming out this Saturday, and you can count on those coming out once a week as well. And man, what else? Is that it? There's something
YouTube
else?
channel, baby. No. Yeah, no, the YouTube channel is a big thing because it's finally like, in a way it allows us to put out more content, I guess, on, when we want to.
Yeah.
And
we just have a lot of ideas that we've been wanting to do. And now that I'm out of school and you've been out of school, and now I'm like, oh, we could do stuff.
yeah, exactly. There's also we wanted to talk about if anyone's got suggestions for us, honestly. We always kind of toss it up between what's going on right now and, what is trending or what we feel like is personally really awesome to talk about or anything like that, whether it be a new movie's coming out and we want to cover the book that it's based off of or the characters, or there's something we haven't read in a long time or haven't read at all, and we just kind of want to go into a more in-depth look. That's kind of how we choose our episodes. But I'd really like to know what listeners want us to cover. Maybe there's something we happen to have in our collections that someone that's listening is like, hey, we want to hear what you guys think of this book. We want to hear what y'all are going to break down today when it comes to this art style or this style of writing, or I really love this Spider-Man book. Can you guys talk about it? Anything, like any character, open. Any story arc that you think is like really worth diving into, because, we're always going to just go through our collection, go through what we want to read and what we want to buy and all that stuff, and just kind of pick what might be fun to talk about. But I'd really like to know what listeners want us to suggest or, anything like that.
Yeah, let us know what movies you want us to check out and, hang out with us. Or, what? Maybe we'll do a giveaway. Someone will tune in and do a commentary with us and hang out.
Or maybe you got a favorite superhero movie that everyone hates and it's like considered terrible and you want us to just tear it apart during the commentaries, And
we're down for that.
Yeah.
And keep in mind, our comic book commentaries are raw in the moment emotions, and it's kind of just like
it's our
Friday night fun, So check those out too. Those come out about twice a month, a bit more recently because we've been building up some things. But you know what? We were really excited. We really wanted all the heavy, good emotions to come out right away because this episode's kind of depressing. Not gonna lie.
I know, right?
I'm really trying to keep the good vibes going. We are talking about The Vision by Tom King
and Gabriel Walta. Is that his name?
Yes.
Let me. I have the book open. Let me look at this team real quick.
And you know what? While we're doing that, those of you who are watching our YouTube channel can see the visuals as well. And I have my book cracked open. We both have the deluxe edition.
Yes, I missed out and slept on buying the single issues because I wasn't completely sold by Tom King at the time, actually. And I only knew him as the guy that wrote Grayson and Sheriff of Babylon, for anybody that's curious. So he's always been a good writer, but I wasn't sure yet because, Vision wasn't a character I would be like, oh, I want to read that,
Yeah, no, exactly. That's the crazy thing about this book is that Vision has never had a solo series before until now.
Yeah. And just real quick to look at this team, we got Tom King as writer. Gabriel. Sorry, I had a burp. Oh my God. Gabriel Hernandez Walta as the artist for every issue minus issue 7, which was Michael Walsh, which I know that name and I know I got some books and I cannot remember for the life of me.
That does sound familiar.
I'm pretty sure if I did a Google search.
Yeah, type that up. While you look that up real fast, my book is signed by Tom King.
Oh, my bad.
I'm going to toss that out there.
I didn't get this. I got Sheriff of Babylon signed by him.
What sucks about when I got this signed at San Diego, this was the longest line. We had one of the longest lines.
Did you wait in that line where it got delayed?
Yes, where Tom, like the people that his agents like kind of pissed him off, and then he's like, "No, dude, I'm gonna have my lunch break," and he just started eating lunch right there. And
and then what's it called? His like best friend practically was there.
Mitch.
Mitch Gerard's. Yeah, he was
yeah.
there, and people were like, "Anybody want to meet just Mitch Gerard's?" And
Yeah.
Gerard's, and literally one person was like,
Yeah.
"I do."
Yeah, exactly. And I was like,
"Oh my god, we were in the same line,
dude, we were this. Dude? That was one of the times where like Kato had my phone or something like that. I forgot why. Kato's here. Tell me the story real fast. Oh, Kato didn't have her phone for some reason, and she had to like borrow someone's phone to like get a hold of me. And I was in the line getting a book signed, I think for like Kelly Jones or something. And it was a whole mess. But dude, carrying this damn deluxe edition for like an hour and a half was a pain in the ass.
dude." I had my backpack with me, and I had a few books and my 3DS, and I was just playing Pokemon the whole time. I'm not even gonna lie.
I'm such a nerd. I love it.
Hell yeah, right at Comic-Con. So this is why I know Michael Walsh. He did the cover to Justice League Black Hammer crossover.
Oh, there you go.
And yeah, of course, I know that because I love Jeff Lemire. But yeah, that's he does a lot of the horror stuff for Archie.
Oh, that does sound familiar then too.
That's why I knew that name.
Okay.
I was like, who the hell is this?
Then we have Vix or VCs.
Clayton Cowles.
Yeah, Clayton.
I see that name all the time.
And then Mike Del Mundo and Marco Del Alfonso for cover artist.
Yep. And let me just say, Mike Del Mundo is one of the best artists, period.
You know,
I went
dude,
there.
I will. There's honestly like this book. I'm opened up on page 1 now, just for reference. This book all around, I can't believe how good the art is. Like it is. If you really pay attention to what's going on, it really just takes you places. Dude, page 1, like there's so much I want to talk about just about the first page. Like, so we're gonna dive in just like and spend 5 minutes on this because there's so much people need to know right away walking into this. Well, first off, in late September, when the leaves were just beginning to show the hint of fall to come, the Visions of Virginia moved into their house. What does it say? Moved to their house at 616 Hickory Branch Lane, Arlington, Virginia, 2131. Dude, when you're on this page, for one, this is a book about robots, about starting a robot family, and this gives you that whole 1950s vibe of when things were amazing and peaceful, and what people would set their goal as. And that was the big thing about WandaVision. They were trying to get that same vibe, and that's why everyone thought WandaVision was going to be kind of based off of this book, because they had that whole I Love Lucy type of like feel.
Yeah, the Atomic Family.
Yeah, the Atomic Family.
Yeah, and
go for it.
Oh, sorry. I was gonna say I know a lot of people probably have read this recently because of WandaVision.
Mm-hmm.
And if there's one thing that you'll notice, they don't share anything.
No, not at all.
There's like
cool
one
book.
main, yeah.
Like if you read it before WandaVision, I think it's a great book. Or if you read it after, it's even better.
Yeah, definitely.
But rereading it afterwards, like I learned more about some stuff from WandaVision than I learned about in this book. And we'll get to those issues.
Yeah, exactly.
But there's one issue that just covers so much, and you're like, oh, they took it all from this.
Yeah, basically. The only main thing that WandaVision took from this was like the whole suburban family thing.
Yeah, pretty much. That
and
whole
like the weird, creepy aesthetic.
Yeah, but people would like really just aspire to be white people. You know what I mean? Like,
there it is. I was also going to say Vision's address is the Earth that they are on.
Yeah.
For anybody that caught that. I don't know if anything else like Hickory Branch Lane means anything, but I know 616 is the main Earth of Marvel. That's like basic Marvel knowledge. And so maybe there's more
in like Washington D.C. too, like a few blocks from the White House and everything.
He literally like stays out there like for good now, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he of course he was like a spy and like a secret agent for a while. But I think that's why he knows this area so well, and it feels so natural practically, because this was probably neighborhoods he was familiar with no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
You know, starting off on this page, what's cool is that I bring all this up that's about a robot creating a family, and it's the Atomic Family and whatnot, is because you are in the point of view of the neighbors. You are approaching the door. You're seeing everything through their eyes. You're still like, you still have your humanity when you begin this page. And this is kind of where the humanity stops almost. And we go into like trying to reach that humanity. But this is as like grounded as we get right here, you know? We switch perspectives in a little while, but this first page just lays it out like you are the eyes of a human and they are about to switch right now. And it's such a cool tone that they set up with this. And when you turn the page, man, dude, they just nail all of the splash pages. Like none of them are wasted. And introducing the family, we have the bright smiles, we have like the teenage kids in the background. But I love the conversation between the neighbors coming up, like how unsure they are. Like literally, it's like, you know, if you had a neighbor that you knew had a like an armory or something like, or something in there, like something that could just bombs like next door to you, you'd be pretty freaked out to go next door and just try to talk to them. You know what I mean? These are like living bombs practically. These are like insane. Like the Vision's a superhero. He's an Avenger. You know, he has powers. As he says multiple times in the story, he saved the Earth 37 times that he counts. And just as like a regular casual thing, like this whole book is about trying to become something, trying to fit in. And it's just him as a robot trying to fit in with a modern, or what he thinks is a modern family.
Not the TV show.
Yeah, not the TV. That's why I had to correct that. I was like, no, it's not that.
You caught yourself?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, what I was going to say too is like, this is my second time reading the book.
Oh, mine too.
And as we're recording, this is my third time basically looking at it again.
Mm-hmm. Same.
And it's funny how everybody keeps calling themselves toasters.
Yeah, and it reminds me of the little toaster. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah, I do actually. I was like, okay, I see what he's doing. He's doing like a ongoing like inside joke, basically.
Yeah, but and I love that. It's adorable too, and it's one of those things. It's one of those like when you power an object and it kind of keeps coming back to it over and over again in the story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then I was going to say, if there's one thing you'll notice about this book, and I'll point it out now so that if anyone wants to look at it while we talk about it or just look at it in general, Tom King is very known for his 9-panel grids.
Oh, yeah. That's another thing. You know, we'll talk about this for a second. Tom King, especially at this stage of his career, and I mean, I guess we can argue it still goes on right now, but he is still one of those writers that is trying to be Alan Moore in the sense that he will dissect a character and revamp them completely, like what Alan Moore did with everything, you know? And he does try to go on that deeper, more thoughtful, philosophic side in a sense.
Yeah.
And I mean, his stories are great. They always work out. They always like have tear jerking moments. And the first time I read this, I think I cried because it's just such an intense book. And he's great at it, but he does have that Alan Moore syndrome. You know, I think every writer that starts off, I know when I started off, I was just like, I want to be Alan Moore. Like, that's all. I just want to write crazy words all the time.
That's funny. I always had that dream too, but part of me always just wanted to be the guy that creates comics where crazy things happen, like, you know, giant celestial fights and like worlds exploding.
Yeah. Like, yeah. Now it's like, okay, now Donny Cates has it like under his control. That's
right.
Cool stuff. But you know, it's one of those things. He does do that whole 9-panel grid so much. And go for it.
I was gonna say, while we're on the 9-panel grid, for anybody who doesn't know, the 9-panel grid is something that's been known. It's been used in comics tons and tons of times over. Like, if you read Watchmen, that's what basically made the 9-panel grid famous. But it was actually something, and not a lot of people know this. It was actually something that was utilized. I'm not saying he created it, but Steve Ditko was the one that kind of like made it be known.
You're right, huh?
Yeah. I remember I was reading an interview of Tom King or something, and he was talking about Steve Ditko or something like that. And they were bringing up, I don't remember when this was, but they were bringing up how like he was the one that did a lot without really like talking about it. He just kind of did it. And again, it's not like he created it. It's always existed. But something to keep in mind with the 9-panel grid.
The 9-panel grid.
The 9-panel grid is that you can have your comics used in that format without having 9 panels. Now, when I say that, if you want to do some like Googling around and Google search it, you can see how you can manipulate the structure of a 9-panel grid and the different variations to it, because there's literally like hundreds, if not thousands. And when you look at the pages, they are still formatted for that 9-panel grid, even if they're not necessarily in 9 panels. And I think that's something to keep in mind when looking at a lot of this, because what the 9-panel grid does is it kind of creates this claustrophobic feeling, like things closing in a sense. So maybe that's what Tom King was going for, but it is something to keep in mind because again, the book follows that 9-panel grid almost every page.
And honestly, he does the whole 7-panel grid where he's doing a horizontal panel on top and then the 6 panels at the bottom. Or, you also see the 2 horizontals and then the 3 panels in the middle too. We have that pattern going on for the first few pages, and it kind of continues for a little bit. Now, it's cool. Tom is now doing so much at DC, and this is more of just like a, if you didn't know, but Rorschach, Strange Adventures. He just announced a Superwoman series, and what else is he writing that I'm
Bat and Cat.
Batcat. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
And he even said for these series, especially for Rorschach, he was just like, I wanted to experiment with everything I do. Like I wanted to stop doing the whole 9-panel grid thing. Did it so much in Batman. And he's really trying to find a way to like break out of that habit and play with paneling again, which is great. Cause I mean, it's a great thing to master, but everyone's trying to do it. Heroes in Crisis, man, that was a filled. We could do a whole podcast episode on
that was 81 panels per book.
Yeah, honestly, yeah. Well, I think right over here where he's showing the neighbors around the house and everything. This is a perfect example, and that's why I love deluxe editions. Is that we get the script a lot of times, and I love reading the script with the issue just to compare the two, and you can tell. Did you read the script? I don't know. I'm just curious.
I do. I don't go all the way through, but I definitely check it out and just kind of, because I like to, pick at what other authors are doing and be like, okay, this is how you do that. And this is how you structure this. And you come to realize it is a lot of work to create a comic, but at the same time, a lot of these authors keep it simple. Like I'm looking for the script right now. Short answer is yes, I do look at the script.
Yeah, no, that's like exactly why you want to see how they pull off, as creators ourselves, we're always trying to find out the root, you know what I mean? Like, where did this idea come from? It's like seeing how directors work and writers when they write scripts, and we want to get in that mindset. And this shows how much editing goes into a book, because if you go, I'm looking at the page where he's talking about the tree, the Everbloom.
The one that was a gift.
Yeah, the petals like unlock the future. You could view it and whatnot after like a murder and all that type of crazy stuff. But when you look at the script for that part, it is totally different. When he gets to the plants, I think I have a bookmark over here. Maybe I already had it. Here it is right here, actually. Maybe I did have it open. Oh, yeah, this is. It's talking about like, as Vision describes the plant unique fragrance, like the juice of aged honey dipped, aged honey dipped raspberries. His wife grew unusually quiet, but neither Nora or George noticed this. But when you look at the actual panel, he gives this whole magnificent, like, object, and it's talking about a plant that was a gift and all this stuff, and it tells you the future. And you're just like, okay, so obviously, like, he got the artwork back from this, and he went and redid the script a little bit. And Tom does that a lot through this book. If you compare the two from like page to page, and you know which ones, because it also gives you the page layouts too, which is awesome to see. But you could tell he had a really cool idea, and then he got the script, and he just knew he had to elevate it even more so. And he does that over and over. So it's a fun little thing if you really love a story to check the two out. I have another cool example. I'll find the page right now for it too. But
didn't that kind of happen with the Kamandi challenge too, where he was it him or Kevin Eastman that was like they were trying to create a certain story with Kamandi, and then it completely changed?
No, but I have a story about that real fast.
Oh, because I remember you telling me, we were talking about it, where it was like Kevin Eastman or Tom King were like, we're going to talk about the meaning of life and try to find the answer.
Yeah, no, okay, then it was the story I told you. Okay, so we should do that for a long box backlog breakout. So there's a Commandi issue. I think it's the challenge, Commandi challenge number 9, and in it, Tom King was going to say like the meaning of life or something, and he was writing the issue and going through it, and he's like, it's going to come to me like the meaning of life. I'm going to spit it out. I'm going to have something remarkable, and he couldn't figure it out, and he couldn't figure it out, and then he's like, I'm just going to put a Jack Kirby quote, and bam, the meaning of life right there, just a Jack Kirby quote.
I mean, in comics, yeah, it's the meaning of life, honestly, Jack Kirby.
But honestly, this whole introduction to them, like walking the neighbors through the house, and look at the color palette throughout this entire book. Because when you're in certain scenes, especially like, okay, I'm the one where we're still looking at where the plants on the page and everything, they're showing the piano and all that. When the neighbors are in the frame, it tends to be like brighter colors and there's more hope in it. And when you look at like his wife in the background, look at the black background. And although outside of the house is nice and kind of sunny, orange skies and whatnot, and when you go back outside, it's beautiful. And as we progress through the story, the colors get darker and darker, and eventually that orange just fades away completely.
Yeah. The other thing too is to keep in mind, like is Vision considered a robot, or is he?
He's a synthesoid.
Is that what they call him?
Yeah.
Okay, well, the other thing to notice about their house specifically is that they aren't human. So there's no food. They don't really use lights. You know what I mean? So there's like this eerie backdrop to every shot within the house.
Yeah, they can even get the cookies and they toss them out right away because they're like,
yeah, exactly. And like the kids kind of hang out in the dark, and it's like, because they don't really need lights. They don't need lights or food. They don't need stuff like that. They don't even need a house. They're just there to like mimic this idea of being a family. So the colors and the actual setting add to this like, morbid kind of aesthetic.
False like life that they're living.
Yeah, exactly.
But when you look at descriptions and stuff like this, Tom King is really brief and everything you see is pretty much to the T, but you also notice how much the artist will just completely change and make their own. I believe this panel down here where there's the lady taking a photograph of Viv in Virginia, or what's his name? Vin?
It's Vin and Viv. Viv is the daughter, Vin is the son, and Virginia is the wife.
And on the panel description, supposedly Viv is supposed to be like in her mother's arms crying while this person's taking a photo. But the artist didn't put that in. And then there's some other stuff like that where they just switch things around a little bit or make them a bit more complex, or kind of honestly like the artist really just Gabriel, right? Correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. He really elevates Tom's script. Like Tom, great writer, great start, but he really took a hold of it and does a lot of storytelling himself. And it's kind of unique too, because this is a full script and Marvel typically doesn't do full scripts. They do the Marvel method, which is plots, and then the artist does it, and then we add dialogue. But I guess they may have worked this way just because maybe a language barrier or something.
It's hard to say, because also, there's a lot of artists that just kind of do their own thing entirely,
Yeah.
And
yeah,
it's like sometimes they need like a sentence and they've got the rest of it, and sometimes they need complete detail. So unless I've always said before, unless we sit down and like talk to the creative team page by page about this book, we can never fully figure out what it is they wanted to do.
Yeah, that relationship, because there's some artists who's just like, I've never talked. We talked to Frank a few episodes back, and he's like, I really never speak to my artists. Like, it's kind of a language barrier, and we just send over stuff, and we kind of just work through that. And that happens in main industries too, because they typically get artists from different countries. I guess, the skill level's there too, honestly.
Yeah.
But this whole first issue is essentially about them setting up their life. Vision's works for the White House, and he's still kind of in touch with the Avengers. His kids go to school and they're kind of they're being questioned themselves. The one girl blowing bubble gum asking like, "Are you normal?" And that was
everybody looking at them as they fly away.
Yeah, and this was another scene where Tom went and edited the dialogue where he flew away when Vin and Viv fly away, and he says, "Am I normal?" I believe in the script it's something totally different. I wonder if I have it. Just like I had some things bookmarked. Let me see. Chapter 5. Oh, okay. No, I didn't. but it's a cool thing to look into because it's just deeper, you know. He really got to connect with the characters after a while. I don't know, chapter 3. No, I won't find it on time. But no, definitely worth checking out. But they start questioning themselves already. Already there's distance. Them sleeping in like separate beds. Even that was kind of a WandaVision callback too in that scene.
Yeah, which is crazy because that's like a callback to that 50s show that was full on spoilers for WandaVision. Sorry.
Oh yeah, like, full on. Yeah.
My bad. We should probably put a disclaimer about that.
Yeah.
Anyways, full spoilers. Yeah. So when you find out like WandaVision, you know, the shows that they're mimicking, it's kind of like calling back to that 50s like romantic comedy where I forget what the show was, but they sleep in separate beds, and then you kind of have this doing a callback to that. But then the WandaVision show does a callback to the comic and the show. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it was like Dick Van Dyke or Andy Griffin or something like that. Some along those.
Yeah, one of those old school shows. But yeah, I just realized like I can't remember the name of the show. Oh well.
And you know, it's funny because Tom King stuff, like he tells you what's going to happen. And that's what's an interesting part about this book is that he says like the neighbors are their house is going to blow up by the end of this book, and who's going to die by the end of it. And the whole time you're kind of like, it's like an episode of Columbo. Like, you know what happened, but now you're going to find out how everyone got away with it. You know what I mean? And honestly, like, do you know about the Grim Reaper? Do you know about Vision's past very much, or did this?
Dude, I got no idea. I'm gonna be honest. I got no clue about the character besides Hank Pym is the grandpa, Ultron's the dad, and the MCU completely did not use that.
Yeah,
he's not associated with the Infinity Stones. That's it, man. I got nothing else.
I'm not too familiar. Strangely enough, I've read the Ultimate Vision, but I haven't read too many other Vision like related stuff. And I think Tom King's like first book was like Avengers 100, which was like his first appearance or something.
Okay.
Or 300, something like that. 100, I want to say. But no, yeah, like the Grim Reaper, I thought it was a cool callback to some of these characters, and he pretty much like the cover the deluxe edition does. He gets the family tree of him and just works within the family. Like anyone who was involved in any other creations, anyone who's like kind of what WandaVision did in that sense. You know, they really rooted it, and they try to make everything branch off to each other where it was all connected in some shape or form. But it's a lot of history, and it's a lot of really cool history if you get interested in this character and you want to dig, because they kind of tell you what key things to look out for, and that's in the later issue. But no, I didn't know anything about Grim Reaper. I knew he was in Civil War. That was it.
I don't even remember that. I've read Civil War once, and I thought people are gonna hate me. I thought it was like okay.
Oh really? Like the first Civil War.
You know, I'm sorry to say this, but I just wasn't impressed. Maybe at the time it made sense. I'm just so over superheroes fighting each other.
Yeah, it's a big thing too.
Yeah, and you know, maybe at the time it was like really awesome, but I think it's like really overrated. It's not terrible. I like Mark Millar, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyways,
we got to do it. I got to reread it. It's been years.
We got to do an episode.
Definitely down.
Yeah. But yeah, I got no idea about the character, and I have no doubt that, you know, for anybody who doesn't know out there, there are people at these publications that their job is to basically keep continuity in check.
Yeah.
And kind of, if I'm correct, there's literally like an office of like a couple of people that just kind of have records of major events and characters for each like major character, I guess you could say, like villains, rogues, people who have died or who's alive still kind of thing. And then, you know, you can kind of reference that in order to get certain characters or whatever.
The ultimate knowledge, basically.
I know, right? The job we've been training for.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, what I love about the end of this issue is that we start off with the neighbors, and you start off as a human, and the end of the book, Grim Reaper just comes in and just stabs Viv through the chest, like out of nowhere, just like turning point. You know what I mean? Like, and the family freaks out, and the mom just goes into defense mode completely, and she pretty much does what anyone would do and attacks the Grim Reaper. However, she's not a superhero. she doesn't have like that no kill policy superhero training at all, and she kills Grim Reaper like in front of Vin, and Viv is just like spazzing out in the background because she's wounded, and the blood splatter, like I think that's one of the most dramatic parts of this page. Is just the way that looks like spray painted on, basically, with the blacks mixed in.
Not just that, she kills him with the cookie tray, if I'm correct.
Yeah, and the cookie tray that the neighbors gave her too.
Yeah, I know, right? What's interesting about this book, and we're gonna definitely talk about it, is, it's I'm bringing this up because you talked about how like the Vision's wife Virginia, she isn't like a superhero, but she's still kind of like treated differently because she's a synthezoid. Is that what you call them?
Yeah.
I read this book before I went back to college, and then now that I've finished college and I studied Shakespeare, I have to say a lot of it makes more sense. And I kind of see what, Tom King was doing now with the whole Shakespeare stuff that ties into them being like synthesoids, robots,
Oh, elaborate if you can.
I was going to talk about it when we get there, but I was going to talk because he quotes that famous speech from Merchant of Venice, and they reference the play, and that was one of the plays that we studied in my Shakespearean class. I did actually take a class. I'm not like the biggest expert, but I did take a class of like critiquing and learning about Shakespeare and certain plays that was taught by a professor that had a literal PhD in Shakespearean.
Oh, wow.
So reading this book, I definitely had a different lens this time around. For the second time, and that's all. I just want to talk about how, like, there's some parallels going on there, especially with like the wife and the family.
Point them out if you can. I'm not super familiar with like Shakespearean work, to tell you the truth. I've never it's never been a required reading. It's never been something I've had to dive into. I have books and I've tried diving in on my own time, but that's been like on my own personal level.
I will say you need like a group of people to help like break it down and like critique it with you, because of that the Shakespearean language is almost impossible to understand on your own unless you like do a translation.
Which is why next month our new show, Shakespeare in the Panels, will be coming out.
It's got to be something cheesy like Shakespeare rocks. He made up a lot of words. Just saying.
Right? Yeah.
But anyways, it's something. I'm one of those people that actually likes Shakespeare. I get it. Like I don't like I think like Romeo and Juliet is really boring and overdone. But I do enjoy like 12th Night and Merchant of Venice and a couple other ones. You know what I mean? So
yeah, no, for sure.
Reading what I'm basically getting at is that if you are really into Shakespeare or understand a lot of Shakespeare, or have at the very least read Merchant of Venice, seen it performed, or really love it, this is a great book to pull parallels from.
I might read it like right after this.
And look up the famous speeches that he's quoting in this, because they're some of the most well-known works of like literature in all of literature.
Ooh, we all have homework now, so that's
you do.
Well, issue 2, crazy. I told you we're gonna spend like 5 pages or 5 minutes just on that one. This might be a 2-parter episode, everyone, at this point. So check this out. Imagine, you just started high school and you're already, being asked like, are you normal? Like everyone's already looking at you, and now your sister's missing, and now you're
high school's pretty rough.
Yeah, like it's
in general. He's
alone. He's completely alone there. And you don't even need to say it. Dude, the first 3 panels of issue 2 say it for you. Like Vin just walking, and then he starts to just go through the floor, and then he's disappeared by panel 3. That just shows isolation, loneliness, like outcast, like all over it in 3 panels. And I think that's such a magnificent thing to do. But then you don't even have to turn, it's just like it's open for you. But Viv, just like half her body spitting out like the same word over and over, it's horrific. You know what I mean? Like it shows like the pain that they're both in 4 panels technically. Like that's brilliant.
And he's kind of doing that Watchmen thing, because I know you're talking about how Tom King wants to be, that next Alan Moore writer. If you go back and look at Watchmen, which everyone should do because you need to read that book every 5 years, the second page is usually a giant splash of the cover or reference, or actually the first panel is the cover, and usually the second page in each issue was like a big splash page. And Tom King's kind of copying that rhythm where almost every issue in this actually has a second or third page that's a splash page, if I'm correct.
Yeah. And it's really weird when I was in school and I was learning about like paneling, how to place stuff. I was always told to use the third page, not the second, because of the page flip at that point. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, let's see. In this issue, he uses the second page.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even in the first one.
The third issue has the fourth page as the splash.
That's what he used in the first one too, actually. The fourth page. Yeah.
So something to take note of.
Super interesting. Also, we see the shift. I mean, Tom King is really good at those pausing moments with conversations, how he has like the silent panels and then it breaks into the story. Like the pacing is so well done. And this is like a masterclass of a book when it comes to that. And we even transition colors and color palettes when we go to the flashback. And it's not even so much a flashback. I think the colors are even more dramatically different and they're brighter because it's a lie. It's false.
Yeah. Well, not just that. They can share each other's memories and kind of. I took this actually as not just a flashback, but her like rebuilding the scene in Vision's head, or at least him rebuilding it in his own head.
I could see that too. For sure. And it's basically her saying like, "Oh, I punched him." And she did the superhero thing, what I was just talking about. She punched him, she beat him up, and he got away, and he ran off. He was okay still. He scurried away because he wasn't injured enough, but she fucking killed him, dude. Like, and she just had to she had to turn it around. Like, no, I'm like you. I hurt them, but I wouldn't cross that line. But right away, in an instant, she crossed that line.
We are the omniscient observer. Or actually, would that be the way to put it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
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 Or the omniscient reader. Because the narrator is the omniscient narrator, where it's like told in third person. And, they know more than the characters know, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And we kind of, we're kind of in that perspective of that narrator. That's what I was trying to get with. So we know it's a lie, right?
Right. Yeah.
And Vision doesn't.
And the next scene is just, progression with Vin. Like, he's getting really not even getting picked on, but he's kind of getting pushed around because this guy just wants information and he doesn't know how to control him. He's like his mom. He doesn't know how to control how, I guess, sensitive humans are compared to them and how strong they are in comparison.
Almost like delicate, really.
Yeah.
I mean, you learn later that Vision can, or at least his whole family, they could shift their body weight and make themselves stronger. So, the thing that's crazy is that they program these children of his to act like teenagers. And in a way, they're acting like teenagers. You're getting picked on in school and then you fight someone back because you get fed up, right? At least that's what would happen in some cases. And it's kind of what's jarring to me is that everyone reacts differently just because they want them to act like humans. They want to act like humans, but they're treated differently. And when he does have a human reaction, an emotional reaction to this kid kind of like pushing him around, they still like ostracize this one teenager.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And the principal scene, I love this because it's all about him just saying like, having your children at our school with what they can do and their abilities is like bringing 2 guns into my school every single day. And it's like, damn, way to put that into it. That's an Alan Moore thing. You know what I mean? That's 100% an Alan Moore comparison. And he even gets a little drunk. It's so crazy. How
many principals do you think have alcohol in their drawers?
Yeah, right. Yeah, seriously. And we progressed a little bit and it turns out like, somebody caught Virginia like burying the body of Grim Reaper. His name is Grim Reaper. Yeah, it is. And it's such a like a modern thing to do. You know what I mean? It's such a modern like thriller. Yeah, a thriller type of thing.
Can you imagine if this book was written in the 90s? It was like a video camera. They mailed a cassette.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's
put this in your VCR.
It's such a great like element to place into there. And now we're adding more conflict with Virginia because now someone knows. And that's the end of issue 2, which is insane. But dude, like we come back to the covers man, she's sweeping Grim Reaper under the rug with his scythe. Like how all innocently and whatnot. Like how what a perfect thing. Like what a perfect image. And then you have like the perfect things in the background, the portrait of the husband, the son playing baseball, like husband leaving like the White House and everything, and just the wife that just committed murder. And her head is placed in the frame, if you notice too.
Yeah. Mike Del Mundo, man. I'm telling you.
Brilliant.
One of the best artists, period. That dude's a crazy cover artist, and he needs more work because he should just draw everything. He did an Electro series.
Oh, really?
Yep. I haven't read it yet. Like I said, I haven't read a lot of my Electro, but I know you're notice again, issue 3. We've got a splash page on the third page, or third page. You know what he's doing is he's basically doing the page turners, because if you're reading it by the issue, you would essentially open the cover. You got this first page, and then when you turn it, that's when you get your splash. But it's kind of strange because typically when you open up to a page, you're going to read from left to right. So you're kind of introduced to the splash, at least, where my eye, like if I'm reading the book and I'm looking down, I imagine that's what I would see first, You
get the spoiler and then you have to read about how that happened.
Yeah. I mean?
And it's an interesting layout.
Yeah. And I think that was purposely done because you see Viv looking kind of defensive and about to hurt someone. So you're like, okay, let me see how they got there.
Yeah. And it's a good way. You have to place that just right, I think, to be like, okay, that was a dramatic shift. You know what I mean? Because page 1, he's still spray painting. And then you turn and he's on the floor and there's blood, right? That's the first thing your eyes see. And then you're just like, how the hell? Where did she come from? Yeah. And you see how she came through the wall and just grabbed him. Whoop.
And again, I think this might be me like going too far into it, but you notice the blood is covered on what they are calling them, which is never thought I guess like I never thought of like what you would say to a robot to piss them off, I guess, or like socket lover.
Well, that's the funny thing. I think they explained in the book, or maybe it was an interview with Tom King, but it was Heather saying that they were up like all night Googling like offensive, like what to call a robot and whatnot, and finding terms that were related, and it just came down to socket lovers.
Yeah,
such a goofy thing.
I know. I was just like, I guess, I was like, I don't know what he was doing. He was looking around, right? He didn't know what else to say.
Yeah.
Yeah. But notice that the blood is on that. So you do go socket lovers. What the hell is that? And
Yeah, I love it's the bottom of the V, and it's such a contrast to that green too, which is like the Vision green, which is
and on the V color for Vision. I think that was all purposely done.
Oh, was V a callback to V for Vendetta? Because she always calls him V.
Could be.
There you go.
V for Vendetta. Alan Moore. Tom King wants to be like Alan Moore. Tom King works at DC now. DC owns Vertigo. No.
Sheriffs of Babylon was published with Vertigo first.
And God.
He
wrote again, Batman. Alan Moore wrote Batman. No, I'm sorry.
The flashback. I think this one's brilliant. And you could tell there's a radical difference because it's in grays. I want to see if this is a continuous thing too. Because the other one was in like what we said, the lie was in the brighter colors to give like a more hopeful, like brighter, lie. But this is like the actual truth, and the truth is gray. So this is an interesting comparison. But this has what's her face, Agatha
Harkness,
which,
spoilers, is not the villain to this book.
Yeah. Honestly, I got to issue 3 and I was like, oh, damn, I could have known who she was if I would have read this before I watched WandaVision. Because that was a surprise to me in the show. I forgot completely.
Same here. Again, spoilers, everybody. I was like, who the hell is that?
Yeah, exactly.
I was like, you're the villain? But, I felt like no one saw that coming. And no one, I guarantee you, people reading this book, unless you're like a hardcore Vision fan, or maybe Scarlet Witch, or you just really love Marvel, who's gonna know Agatha Harkness?
Yeah, I
had no idea.
A Scarlet Witch series, like you said, you'd have to be like part of this power couple. You know what I mean? And
or that niche. Vision's my favorite superhero, and so is Scarlet Witch. So I had no idea. You basically get a backstory on the plant, though.
Yeah, which is interesting because it goes through the whole issue, which is great. But it was a great way to break up the insight we get at the end of it. But and so Viv is on the operating table and she's dying. And here we go back to like the robot trying to have humanity. He's trying to like save his daughter. So he takes him to Tony Stark. And I think it's such an interesting thing how he's just like, hey man, you better turn off your pain sensors. Like this is gonna hurt a lot. And he throws and he's just like, no, like we need to save her. And he goes through all that pain just to bring back Viv.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, it's his daughter at the end of the day, right?
Mm-hmm, exactly.
This book is very much so a parent-child / Frankenstein / Shakespearean / kind of like thriller,
Mm-hmm.
So there is a lot going on, and this is one of those scenes that like it's still a parent-child story.
Yeah, exactly. And it's so humbling. You forget the robots completely. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, they have all the emotions and even questioning who they are. And that's the whole thing with Vision, is that he questioned his creator from the start. Like he wanted to know. And Ultron was indeed like an android. Like he had no compassion or feelings at all. That's what makes him so unique. Well, and with Agatha, dude, it trips you out when the cat gets stabbed in the back of the neck and then turns into like a panther.
I don't like this scene.
I know. T'Challa, dude.
Dude, yeah, right. Navi. For anybody who doesn't know, Brandon and I, like many things in our life, we have the same breed of cat practically.
Yeah, they actually look exactly the same.
It looks like this cat in the comic.
Kinda.
Yeah. No, it was kind of a weird transition too. And like, to be honest, I had to reread this a couple of times because it matches the mood of the book, but it kind of doesn't match the story.
Yeah, and it's a revelation that happens. Like it's details that they show in the beginning. I mean, not really with the purpose, but just to give the details. But it doesn't make a difference until later on. So it's one of those things, like you're kind of reading it and you're kind of just like, oh, okay, that's cool. But then later on, like that's information, that's key information. But you're kind of just like, why are we learning this right now? You know what I mean? It's kind of just like, oh, here's info. We're going to use it later. So just hold on to this.
And you got to remember that it's basically about the plant.
Yeah. But they only do it for the plant. Like, I don't know. I guess it would have felt more fluid if they were slowly doing that, like a thematic thing with all the objects they brought up. The Captain America's lighter that was made with vibranium. The glass of water that's like the floating glass. Yeah. But again, the splash page though. Here we are, the family reunited. That's a brilliant way to bring that back too. They're using the splash pages so efficiently.
Yeah, and then you get a sex scene of the Vision. Wait, is his last name? Does he have a last name, or is he just Vision?
No, it's just the Visions. Because even on the mailbox, it's Virginia Vision. Like,
yeah, it's just like
Vision.
So like the Mario Brothers, because Mario's name is Mario, and then you got Luigi Mario.
Okay, then I guess so. Yeah. That's interesting.
Vision. But I was like, okay, I was confused because Vision is supposed to, I know he had like an emotional relationship with Scarlet Witch.
Yeah.
And this is when I was like, okay, does Vision have a penis? It's like that scene in Mallrats where Brody's obsessed with like the. Do you remember that? He's obsessed with the genitalia of like Marvel characters.
Yeah, like Mr. Fantastic.
Yeah. No, seriously though, I was like, okay, she's wearing sexy lingerie and like they're getting naked.
Do they just like plug? Well, I guess that's what sex is plugging into each other. But like, I guess it's like an electrical thing. If they don't, like maybe it's just like a vibrating, a static, or a shock of some sort. Like, do they?
I don't know. I mean, sex with Swamp Thing kind of made sense. So
yeah, that one. Yeah, Alan Moore again. See, Alan Moore had a plant and have sex with a human, but no, this is even. I mean, it's two androids. It's not that Alan Moore yet. If it was a human, it would be more.
And then the other thing too is like these his family was like built. So did he like put like, like did he give his wife like breasts and everything?
Yeah, he was in full control of all that.
Yeah, he's like, I don't know. Let's get into it. I don't know. Like, I'm really confused,
Well, okay. At the end of this issue, we do find out that
Yeah, we never got an answer, Brandon.
it's a mystery, you know?
It's a mystery.
It's
Do
something-
they have nipples and does he have a penis?
No, they show his chest.
Do they show his chest?
Yeah.
Vision?
Yeah, he has nipples.
He has nipples?
Yeah, he does.
Oh, did he? Oh, okay.
I guess so. He's wearing puts. I don't know. He doesn't have a bulge. I'm gonna say that right there in that panel.
So his
They
wife,
found
we never,
nothing.
the wife, we may never know if he installed anything.
Yeah, right.
Anyways. Oh wait, but I will say, at the end of like that whole like intimate sex scene, it does say socket lovers in the last like panel. So he's kind of like, I don't know if that's kind of like them, like,
Oh, like yeah, they are socket lovers.
yeah, like reminding you or like, you know, owning up to it kind of thing, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's honestly like the sex scene tying in with the term. You know what I mean? Like socket lovers, like they're gonna have sex. Like one of those, like the panel was, you know, what's happening in the background, and then you're reading the words on another panel. One of those scenes,
Yeah.
but a bit more clever. But
And then
At
we
the
get
end-
back to the flashback.
yeah, and you kind of are. It's insinuated that something's up with Vision. Like that's gonna lead to something. And Agatha saw the future, and she knew that them moving into that house was gonna start events. You know, and then that's the end of that one. And honestly, on issue 4, I think the coolest part is that, you know, Tom King's a really big Peanuts fan, and he does
Is
like
he?
little. Yeah, that's why
Oh, I didn't know that.
Man was named Charlie. His name is Charlie Brown.
Oh crap! God, that blew my mind. Okay, Jesus. I'm gonna go
That was the whole
reevaluate.
thing. Yeah. It's
Man, I'm
Charlie.
gonna start putting Calvin and Hobbes references in everything I create.
Exactly. That's what you got to do. It's exactly. Well, here we have the football thing. You know what I mean? And it's all about trust. And what I love about this is that they really break things down to the definition, you know, and it's an Android thing. That's what they know, is what they absorbed. So they know when you say a word incorrectly, like we often do when we speak, they straight up define it. They're just like, no, that makes no sense. Like you're misinterpreting that meaning and whatnot. I know we're both much better at that in our writing. That's why we write and we just talk on commentaries. But it's such an interesting thing, like in the book, like, oh, like they are so like intellectually to the point that feelings and little things that we say casually, they're just like, no, that's incorrect. Like,
Yeah,
really think about
Well,
that, you know?
it's a little bit of a spoiler, but in the book they talk about how, like, you know, a calculator doesn't make any assumptions or guesses. It just
Mhm.
goes through a period, like known algorithms to get to the endpoint, and then there's the other side of that where it's trying to build its way to the endpoint, something like that.
Yeah.
And for, you know, for them, you know, you're given like a question, they go straight to the answer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So kind of like hinting at, you know, again, they are synthezoids.
And
The other thing too, I was like, is that the high school's mascot?
well, I know on another panel they call it something different too, which is interesting. It's not the Fighting Redskins. It's something
It's
else.
your mascot is a colorful bull and a 3-corner hat.
Yeah.
And he says that's a new mascot. That's right. It's a new mascot.
Oh, yeah. And it's kind of funny because the Redskins, it's still like the same color as Vision skin. So I think that was kind of like, it's the same exact like pink that you have.
Oh, it is, huh? I didn't
Yeah.
even trip off of that. Wow.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. I did not realize that.
And here again, like, look at, you know, we have Virginia in the kitchen and everyone outside. When they're outside, it's so bright and everything. And when you look through the windows, like even like her body language, she's sad, you know, when she's looking out the window at her family and it's dark and the sun's barely shining in where it's at. The mood that they create with everything is so brilliant. And, you know, even when she gets the phone call, like you see that shift in her body and you could see that in her eyes and everything. It's somber. She's worried about it. And she finally takes this call. But I don't know. It's so interesting. Honestly, this whole issue is great because it's about Viv coming back to school and everything. And we kind of get like a callback. Is that the monster from the cover of Giganto? Giganto. Do you know who that is? And is that a Fantastic Four villain?
I want to say it's either Fantastic Four or X-Men related. I think it's Fantastic Four though.
I think it's Fantastic Four. I
It
think
is.
like
It's the my brain completely.
Is that
failed.
the one on issue?
It's
one?
on the famous cover of issue 1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. I thought that was like a mole man creature. Maybe this one is too, but I could be wrong.
No, it's
But-
definitely Giganto.
This is one of those things where the dad's at work and the wife is going to go meet up with the guy that has information and dirt on her. You know, that's like a classic,
Mhm.
like you see that like on CSI or something, I'm sure, you know? And, you know, it's such a depressing scene. You know, what we have here is a human, a dad, you know, was going to go check in on the family because of an altercation they got into earlier. And he just wanted to go talk and explain things. And then it turns out like he walks in and Viv was burying the body. And
Virginia.
Virginia was burying the body. And he's just like, I saw that and I didn't know what to do. And he's like, he's just a scared human being. That's the whole thing. If they were other people, I don't think they would have reacted like this. And he's so terrified because he knows what Vision can do, probably, I'm sure. And he even points out that he has a gun. Like, that's what gives him safety and that's what makes him feel safe. And I mean, this is the whole thing. Like, I'm not a gun person at all whatsoever. And the thing that happens here, so, you know, he takes it out to defend himself. And what he ends up doing is killing his own son. And all because she's just like, hey, we belong here. And he's terrified of her. He takes it out of fear, and then he fires it out of fear, not even realizing what she can do. But he fires it, it goes straight through her and ends up shooting her son in the head. I mean, his son in the head. And now he's blaming her, saying it's her fault. And he made her do this, and she's the reason this happened. And then she panics because her, you know, she has her human emotions. She panics then and then punches him so hard, she ends up basically putting him in a coma. And it escalates so fast, you know, like
it happens so fast. It's not just that. This is one of the few comics that shows like a dead kid.
A Marvel comic.
Yeah, I know, right?
Like,
I was like,
who just got shot in the head by his
and
father.
This is post Disney owning them.
Is it? It is, huh?
2016, yeah. Didn't they buy them in like 2010 or something like that?
Not
or was that Star
early,
Wars?
but somewhere. Yeah, it was like 2015, somewhere around that. Yeah. But that's the end of the issue. And that's just one of those things. That's just one of the cliffhangers that you have at that point. But it's such a deep thing. It's really what it is like human altercation and how you panic when there's conflict. And what year was it?
2009. Disney
2009.
paid $4 billion to buy Marvel.
Oh, damn, that long ago?
Yes, indeed.
Wow, I feel old.
I remember when that was on the news.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, back to the current issue. Sorry, I was
the depressing stuff, yeah.
Yeah, this man in a coma who got beat upside the head.
But like the reactions are just so human. It's not robotic. That's the thing. Like you would expect an android response of just being like, all right, like, or taking the bullet, but she dodged it. She let it go right through her to show her power. She was trying to intimidate him. And in doing so, it caused this, you know, like everything just didn't, their passions and emotions and how fast they all escalated with each other. That's what caused this. And it's not like weird or uncommon because she was a robot. It's terrifying because that's a regular human reaction from them both.
And now that we're getting to the human thing, this is the Shakespeare speech I was talking about.
Ah, there you go.
Right here, issue 5. When you go to the page, okay, so notice the spread is on page 2 this time. So the speech starts with, where is it? Oh wow! Actually, no. The speech starts in the first page.
Yeah, panel 1.
Yeah, if it will feed nothing else, it will feed my revenge. He hath disgraced me and hindered me 500,000. Laughed at my losses, mocked my gains, scorned my nation, thwarted my bargains. I had to read this out loud in front of a whole class actually, because I had a hardcore Shakespeare class. Like, as in, if you didn't do the work, you'd fail like immediately. And I had a professor that was like, you need to buy the book I tell you to read. You need to keep up with the reading, and you need to make sure that when we're reading in class together, you're keeping along, because if you are not paying attention and you skip a beat, you will get in trouble.
Oh my God.
I'll get into it more. But anyways, that's the whole speech is going on, right? So for anybody who may not know, the speech is from the Shakespearean play Merchant of Venice. And that is the famous play that has the pound of flesh reference. Have you heard of that before?
Oh,
Where if I
happens with Agatha. That's funny.
Oh yeah, that's all Shakespeare. So basically, long story short, there's these characters in the play. They borrow some money from a merchant, and the merchant is a Jewish character named Shylock. Mm-hmm. And the thing is, he's the only Jewish character in the entire play, and he seems to it comes off as like he's the only Jewish person within all of Venice. Oh, wow. So because he's Jewish, he's mocked and made fun of and treated terribly. Oh. And there's this big discussion around that where nobody knows if Shakespeare was taking it serious or not. So basically, Shakespeare, no one could tell. This is a real thing that's been always like a debate where was Shakespeare trying to make you empathize with the character, or was he mocking the character? And this famous speech, I am a Jew, hath not Jew eyes, hath not Jew hands, organs, dimensions, senses, affections, passions. That's all in that speech. And it's about Shylock being mocked and how he's trying to say, this is, I am Jewish, but I'm still human. I have blood. I have skin. I have organs. I bleed when you cut me. He says, we eat the same food. We hurt with the same weapons, subject to the same diseases, healed by the same means, warmed and cooled by the same winter and summer as a Christian. And there's that famous line, if you prick us, do we not bleed? Mm-hmm. And if you tickle us, do we not laugh? If you poison us, do we not die? It's actually a really good monologue.
Yeah, it's so gripping with this too. Like, with Tom King's panels, the way he matched it up, like he reveals the body, like laying in a coma.
Yeah, exactly. Like everybody's human in this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the thing is, my professor was talking about, and this was only like 2 years ago, so it's still kind of in my head. My professor was talking about depending how you read this speech and depending the depiction of this speech in terms of on stage, how they present themselves, you honestly can't tell if it's serious or a joke. Huh. To give you an idea, Seinfeld did it as a joke.
Oh, really? Oh my God, I don't even remember that.
He references the speech, but he changes some of the wording up and he uses it as like a joke, for the punchline. So it's interesting that this is in the book, and this is why I really, because again, I really like got invested and nerded out with Shakespeare once I started taking this class. And so when you look at this speech and with the context of the book, it's actually pretty serious, because you have to consider that when you turn the page, you have the professor or the teacher reading it, but later on in the story, you realize that Vin is obsessed with Shakespeare and he enjoys it, and he quotes like monologues from the play, and it's supposed to create this empathy for the characters, because even though they're synthezoids, are they not the same?
Yeah, exactly. It's being compared to like a Jew at that point, and that's the interesting part, is that making them not human and phrasing them as not human, but them screaming out that we are.
Yeah,
exactly what this family is trying to do, is just show like we all have humanity in us.
Yeah, it's kind of like these layers of referencing Shakespeare, and again, it's going to be that moment where I start ranting. It's that thing in the book that, in a way, comics can only do it. Try to look at this scene where Vin is like, if this was a movie, Vin, you hear the dialogue overlapping over all this stuff, like the Avengers fighting and the kid that was murdered by his father in the morgue and all that. It doesn't really have the same effect as the captions do over the images.
I could see that. Yeah. Especially because you have that still moment, you know what I mean? Like, not breezing by. You could really sink into every single part of this. Especially when it gets to, if you prick us, do we not bleed? And it shows Jamie Kinski. And was that Jack Kirby's original name?
No, his name was Jacob. God, why do I not remember it right now?
The last name, it sounds like super familiar, but it's also implying like it's a Jewish name as well.
Yeah, his real name is. I'm about to find it. I always mess it up, and I want to make sure I say it properly. That's why. Jacob Kurtzberg.
Kurtzberg. Okay.
Yeah,
man,
that's his real name.
Tom King, you missed it. Just saying. Yeah, that could be.
I could have threw a reference in there. But anyways, so yeah, like when you really think about it, this is not only a reference to Shakespeare, but a tool in the character development.
Yep.
And this is what I mean, because from here on out, you get nothing but Shakespeare references. Mm-hmm. And then you find out the whole pound of flesh thing is that Shylock, the character in the play, he wants his money back that he loaned out. And basically, to get his money back, if he doesn't get it, he's going to cut a pound of flesh from I forgot the guy's name, but he's going to take a pound of flesh as his payment.
Okay. I know which one you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. Basically, he was literally, if we're being real quick, he was literally going to cut a pound of flesh. Like, it was like, you're not going to give me the money you owe me. Well, I'm going to cut flesh out of you until it's equal to 1 pound. And that's my payment. So I either get my money or I get my flesh. And that's where that reference comes from for anyone who, if you've seen a movie or TV show, it's been referenced at some point where I'm going to get my pound of flesh back, you know?
Yeah. Oh man, that's so cool.
But yeah, that's your Shakespeare stuff, man. Like, also on top of that, they referenced they named the trades off of that same speech or that same play, because the son Vin, we're going to get to it. He talks about the one of the characters in the play, and when he's going about his day, that character is a little worse than a man, but when he drinks at night, he's a little better than a beast.
Oh yeah.
So if you look at trade 1, it's called A Little Worse Than a Man, and then trade 2 is titled A Little Better Than a Beast.
Oh,
and that comes from the same.
Cool.
That's one of the characters that was going to potentially marry one of the female characters in the play.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
damn, that is such a cool deep reference right there. Those are deep
sorry, I had to go on that rant, you know. But
that's our what was the one thing we were doing for a while? Damn it, they were just like facts, and we learned about sharks or something.
Oh,
Levi's,
that's your
Levi's. Yeah.
We were talking about Levi's and underwear, and we looked up the history of briefs or something.
Yeah, something ridiculous. Yeah, but that's your fact of the day.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I nerded out about Shakespeare for a while, and I saw it in the book, and I'm here to explain it, y'all.
Well, that's going to be cool. It's going to be a fun reread for me once I dive into that stuff, because that's just like, once you learn about what influences it and you go back and you see how it connects and you really see the true meaning, what they intended behind it, it makes it that much more fulfilling and rich.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, I didn't mean to go off so much about that, but you know,
that was brilliant. Well, basically this part, you know, the family's kind of visions being brought into questioning because of the disappearance of Grim Reaper. And, the wife is basically just kind of, you know, she knows what's going on, but she's going to play the wife role and just kind of roll with it. And they keep on going back to the thing. Everything is normal. Everything is normal. Like, don't worry, guys. Like, it's all fine. Like, we're normal. We're don't worry about it. Like, we still fit what we want to be. And she's trying to keep her cool. But the thing about it, what I love is that when they freak out emotionally and have anxiety and start panicking, you could tell in their voice, because they start repeating the same words. You know, we won't continue our discussion. And she just freezes. She just gets stuck. And then Virginia just flips out. It's so human. It's so human. And that's what, it's so perfect, because she's just trying to have composure. She's trying to be strong for her kids, and she's trying to play everything off, but she cracks. And then at the end of it, you know, we got the Zack Snyder, do you bleed?
When I was reading this, when they were talking about the 37 times, do you think that's a like story arc every time Vision was involved?
That's, you know, actually those were like the key issues. And you know what? I'm curious, because now it's like a different type of flashback. You know, we had the flashback with Agatha, and then we had the first one where she was lying about the history, about what happened. But this is the same color palette too, the orange.
Yeah, I think it's how he remembers it, honestly.
Mm-hmm. This has to be, I think you're right. It's his memory of like what is programmed in his head.
Yeah.
We're kind of seeing it through his eyes in a sense, you know?
Yeah, I was looking. Yeah, and I was looking at a lot of these, and I was like, okay, I think I know most of these arcs.
I know some of them,
Ultron.
yeah.
Atlantis Attacks. That's Namor. Sentinel Strike. That's probably Days of Future Past. Loki is the first Avengers issue that Loki attacks.
No, but that was pre-Vision.
That was pre-Vision, huh? Well, he always comes back.
I just know the Kree Skull War, to be honest.
I don't know Proctor War. I have no idea.
Oh, Operation Galactic Storm either. I don't know a lot of these.
Immortus. I know that name.
Bride of Ultron. I have no idea. Korvac Saga. I'm familiar with it, but I haven't read it.
Necrodamus.
Kane, I'm not too familiar with.
Kane. I've read like one story arc.
Ultron. I love how it's always Ultron again. Ultron again. I wonder. Yeah, this is stuff like. There's so much of the Marvel universe. It's like you kind of which corner are you going to go into, and like the Avengers and all this stuff is the corners I never went to.
Oh, same here. Yeah,
a Spidey, Daredevil, like kind of the grounded people in a sense, like X-Men and whatnot.
Yeah, I told you I stay away from team books.
Cosmic, like Silver Surfer and everything. I'm not too in the Avengers side of their history.
No, but there are some cool ones. You got Kang. I don't know the Korvac saga.
No.
I don't remember seeing Vision during the Phoenix Force, or at least Dark Phoenix. So I'm assuming there's another story arc involving that. There's always is. Ultron again, Claw, Onslaught. I remember that character.
And then the King Dynasty, like
Demetrios. Do you know the Black Talon?
No.
Ultron again, Master Pandemonium. That's one that was like, I have no idea who that is.
No clue for sure.
This is where I think Tom King went to the office. Is like, hey guys, how many times has Vision been in a story arc?
Oh, search results say 37. Let me print this out for you.
Yeah. So for some reason, it's Ray Romano.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're gonna print that up for you, and or like Kermit the Frog. Yeah. So when you want to do the Scree Skull or
Scree Skull,
yeah. Dude, you gave me the wrong story arc. Magneto. It's all owned by Disney. They could do a crossover.
Dude, yes.
Hi, Vision. Would you like to
Kermit as Professor Xavier? That'd be so great. Magneto.
Oh no, the Sentinels are attacking again. Better play my banjo.
To me, my X-Men.
Avengers assemble. Oh no, it's Galactus. I'm just saying, Marvel, hire me. Missed opportunity. I'm the ideas man here. Kermit the Frog, leader of the Avengers and the X-Men. What's another team? Yeah, screw it. Guardians of the Galaxy too,
You got a raccoon already.
Yeah.
Oh man. Magneto. Dude, that got me. I'm so sorry.
Magneto?
And wow, the most like depressing page ever is like open right now too. Like Vision and like his wife are kissing and the house is on fire. Dude, the P versus MP, was that just like a total trip out for you as well?
For the next one, right?
Yeah, issue 6.
Yeah, that one was like probably one of the better issues, and this is like the midway point. And it's interesting because it basically explains when it comes to computers what Vision is,
Yeah, it's the whole calculator thing you were explaining earlier.
Yeah, exactly. That is what they reference.
Dude, I love the picture of the dog where he's dug up Grim Reaper and he's just like licking the side of his face, and like Grim Reaper's face is all open and it looks happy. Like it's such a funny, like a Marvel zombie looking scene. Like the dog's tongue is out and it's like it's so ridiculous.
Yeah, this poor doggy, dude. Well, at least the dog lived on.
Yeah. And at least, there's some sad moments, but he's there.
Here's the thing I was confused though, was like the dog bites that like scythe thing of the Grim Reaper and electrocutes him. What is up with that character?
Isn't it like vibranium?
Yeah, but would it electrocute like that? And could a dog bite it easily?
I know nothing about this character.
All right, Marvel was listening to me right when I wrote Grim Reaper. It immediately was like Marvel. All right, here we go. We're gonna do some information for everybody. Okay, Grim Reaper, first appearance, Avengers 52, 1968. Jesus Christ. Okay. Roy Thomas, the writer, and John Buscema as the artist. Let's see. Powers and abilities. Technological based villain. All right, good enough for me.
All right, yeah, that explains it.
He's got electricity flowing through him. That's why the dog got electrocuted.
I love the 2-page spread right here with the the dogs all fried out.
I know. I was like, poor thing. Like, it's so like traumatizing. I was gonna say, I when I was reading this, I didn't think to Google P versus NP.
I didn't either.
Yeah, I just kind of took it as P as a problem and NP is no solution to problem.
Something like that. I kind of felt like I had the same like interpretation. I know.
Yeah, but it actually stands for P. Okay, this is just me doing literally P versus NP. And what I'm given is P is the set of problems whose solution times are proportional to polynomials involving n's. NP, which stands for non-deterministic polynomial time, is a set of problems whose solutions can be verified in polynomial time. But as far as anyone could tell, many of those problems take exponential time to solve.
Oh, wow.
I gotta see what involving. What? Oh man, I should have definitely Googled this while I was reading this.
That's so interesting too. It's I didn't realize that was an actual problem too. So everyone go Google in versus NP. Like it's I almost went down a rabbit hole just for those 2 seconds. I was looking up stuff.
Yeah, there's a whole study on it. It's like, so yeah, it goes P problems and NP complete. Wait.
Oh wow.
Yeah, this is very intense actually. Like apparently there's no answer to it.
Oh wow, that's interesting.
But basically, P versus NP problem is a major unsolved problem in computer science. It asks whether every problem whose solution can be quickly verified can also be solved quickly. So basically, the simplified version
versus a complex or like the long out, like a calculator versus doing like long division or something. You know what I mean? Like
yeah, it's like you have the answer and then you kind of have to work for the answer is the other one, I guess.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. That's I guess that you kind of want to go in that direction as you talk about these type of androids,
Mm-hmm. I'm trying to. There's this huge article. So a mathematical expression that involves n's and n squared.
Oh wow. Okay.
This is really intense. Not really intense, but this is all computer science, which is not my field. So sorry, everybody.
No.
To get distracted. But anyways, that's why this whole issue is about that, though.
Yeah.
Where it's P versus NP. It talks about how, it's a math problem or maybe a computer science problem or reality. And basically a P problem or a P is where you can get an answer.
Oh, okay. There you go.
Yeah. So it kind of basically is doing that thing while the dog smells the dead body and kind of goes through the yard. And I guess it's supposed to put this idea in your head that is Vision someone who's a P or an NP?
Mm-hmm. That's kind of what I'm thinking right now. Like thinking about it, it's or even considering the family. You know what I mean? Like the problem, like they're kind of the problem that can't be answered. How do you answer something like that? How do you give someone like that does, Vision's had time. He's had people. He's been on teams. He's had like love and relationships. He's gone through stuff, but he just kind of imported all this into his family.
Yeah.
And that's the crazy part.
Here it is. I just found it. I was looking for it. So in the comic, it says it solves the problem not through random guesses, but through an ordered process. This is P. Problems that are practical, problems that using a kind of shortcut can be solved. There exists, however, another type of problem, one for which there are no shortcuts. These problems do have solutions. Indeed, if you have a solution and you ask a computer if your solution is correct, the computer will tell you if it is or if it is not. However, if you ask a computer to solve these problems for you, the computer without its shortcut will simply run through a practically infinite number of possibilities trying to stumble upon the correct one. Finding the answer will take billions of computers over the course of billions of years. This is NP.
Oh wow.
Problems which, practically speaking, you cannot simply solve. So yeah, it's kind of like there's problems you could easily solve and problems you can't just solve, I
Mhm.
guess. And I guess they're talking about this because,
Here we are looking at the deaths that they're kind of having to deal with. You know what I mean? Like the
yeah,
death of Grim Reaper, and then the neighbors coming over to like asking, "Have you seen my dog? He's been missing for a while." And it's like, how do you solve like the
those
problems?
problems.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's kind of like, you got practical ones like 1 + 1 = 2, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you accidentally murder a supervillain who's trying to murder your children and you get caught for it, how do you solve that?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The dilemmas they're in for this whole entire series. Well, dude, it's funny. She gives him back the beat up tray that she just killed somebody with.
I know,
Um,
right? Here, you can have this back, by the way. There's some blood stains.
Again, full page splash. Look at like the feeling behind this, like half shadowed, and then you have the blood splattered across him, and it also looks like it was coming out of his eye, but it's just like across his chest. It shows he's working on something, and he's like really just like performing surgery like in the basement while they're
He's
throwing the neighbor.
Frankensteining the dog.
Yes, it's so weird. He takes out the dog's brain and it's just like, well, he makes another creation. I love that. We just are. And as he's trying to like process what he just did, like there's a dead dog in the backyard. He's now knows everything that happened. Like he knows that Grim Reaper was back there. And he's just like, how do I make this better? And it comes out to being Sparky.
Yeah, the family dog.
Yes.
And again, this is the Frankenstein part of the. Well, I mean, he already Frankensteined a family, right?
Yeah.
But he quite literally Frankensteined a dog.
And that's the crazy part about this too, which makes the story so weird, is that Vision literally created all of this, like his family, his like wife, like everything. He created it. He shaped it for himself. He made his life, and his life still didn't work out, even though he shaped his life for how he perceived it and thought it should be. And it still didn't happen. You know what I mean? Like that's so like traumatizing.
Sad.
It's so sad. It's
Yeah, he tried making a perfect family.
yeah, and it's still, no matter how you try, it's not going to work out the way you imagined. But yeah, they get the dog.
It's a cute
That's
doggy, Vision doggy,
And at the end of this, we kind of have like a cliffhanger of Agatha's reporting to the Avengers. She's like a ghost of some sort.
like a
apparently.
force ghost.
Yeah. And I do love the way this guy drew it reminds me of John Romita Jr. in this panel, the way we see the whole team right now.
Mhm.
But I do like how subtle everyone's costumes are. You know what I mean? Like it's simplified. Like,
Yeah,
to the
no, I
max.
agree.
But man, well, that's volume 1. I think we're gonna break this up into a 2-parter,
Yeah, it's a lot.
because from here on out, things do get crazy and they get really good. And I think they do deserve some time and attention. So we'll wrap up part 1 of the Vision.
Yeah, do
Right
some
here.
do some Avengers history, do some
Read some
computer
Shakespeare.
science, some Shakespeare and some computer science history. I was trying to look up what P or polynomial. The P stands for polynomial, and then I was like, what problem? Or you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
where did this all come from? That's where I'm taking from this. Is I'm going down the rabbit hole now because problems for N, but I don't know what N is.
So we're gonna do our own homework right now.
Yeah, apparently.
Well, tune in next week. We will have part 2 of this going up, and it's honestly like it's hard to compare what's better, part 1 or part 2, because things do ramp up right now. But everything that we just absorbed and everything, you kind of realize this book is about trying to fit into something that you're not, like desperately fit in almost. And it is about family, and it's about accepting like no matter what family you have, how perfect they are and how much you've shaped them. And it doesn't matter, like it's out of your hands, it's out of your control. When something has like a soul, basically, like these synthoids do, like they have their own decisions to make, and we all have to make our own choices and live with those repercussions. And there's so many great themes going on through here. It's honestly, for one of his earlier works, it's so brilliant. and that's why Tom King is where he's at right now. Like it definitely has its flaws, but I mean, it's not like anything horrific. This is a brilliant.
No, this is definitely still a good book.
traveling.
I was talking about it with my friend, and this came out in 2016. And if you're thinking specifically superhero books, this was the best book of that year when it comes to Marvel or DC.
Oh, I bet. I'm not too sure. Let me see. 2016. I don't remember what I was collecting at that time.
That's what I had to do. It was a bunch of like independent stuff I was reading, and
Wow.
Rebirth was just starting.
Okay, I think I was just like phasing into stuff then.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, man. And I told you that's why we got the hype done at the beginning, because it's a really it's a really depressing book once you wrap it all up.
Yeah. I
But
can't get over this computer science thing. Sorry.
I'm so hyped for the next issue. It's brilliant, but we'll get to that soon.
Yes.
But
We will get
guys,
to that soon.
give us a like, comment, subscribe, tell us what you want to hear. Check out our new YouTube channel. Just subscribe to Apollo City Comics, and that's it. And that's all simple. There's
Yeah.
links in our Instagram bio if you're following us. And Brandon, thanks for hanging.
Thanks for having me. And for anybody listening, I'm going to do some research on polynomials, the proportional to polynomials involving n's, n squared, and n cubed, because it's apparently what I'm going to teach myself this week.
And we'll have a video about it up next week.
There we go.
All right. Later.
Later, y'all.